Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Wow, quite the sales here today and yesterday for a lot of altcoins. Good consideration for spot bags, but not a good consideration for leverage. And I'll explain more as to why that is the case. But anytime things move this fast and this hard, avoiding leverage is extremely important because you just get these really ridiculous candle wicks in either direction, and they just literally just destroy people's accounts. So stop being one of those persons if you are, or just recommend pumping the brakes for a couple of days on the high leverage. I know you can find good opportunities, but for the most part, they're going to happen so fast that you're going to wish you hadn't done it. Again, there's a couple times when it works out, but for the most part, statistically, the odds are against you when you use leverage in situations like this. Anyways, thank you so much again to all those who joined up yesterday. We got over 50 new subscribers to my video from yesterday. That's quite a lot for me, considering how terrible the algorithm is for my videos. So thanks again for liking the videos and just being part of the group here. I do have a Trading Academy Community Signals group. Links down below for that. We want to talk about liquidation first and kind of go with that. And then we'll talk a little bit about get back here, the charts. There's a fair value gap as well, quite sizable here too. We want to talk about potential for retracement or recovery, whatever the case is, right? We always want to look at everything, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm just going to tell you how it is, and that's just how trading is supposed to work. You got to look at it, abstractly, so to speak, without emotion. I know it's really difficult to do when you are invested a lot of times, but for the most part, that's proven to be very beneficial for me. So hopefully I can be that guide for you. Let's take a look here at liquidation. We can see 146, 147, a little bit of late shorts here. Majority of the late shorts are getting destroyed though with this little wick up to 145. I totally understand why people are trying to short this coin because it's on its way down. Majority of the market is. You're going to find more success shorting the market than you are going to take longs. However, I think today that dynamic is shifting. A lot of altcoins are starting to bottom out, and I'll show you on the charts, of course, what I mean by that. But from a macro perspective, both local and larger, liquidation-wise, we can see majority of everything's been totally destroyed. What we can see here, though, this is a kind of interesting here, is liquidation delta. This tells us we have close to about between 3 and 4 billion in liquidation for shorts left in the market. This is oftentimes what you see when short squeezes occur, when that starts to plateau and reverse. Now, it's starting to subside because of the simple fact that we're seeing this little pump. We're starting to see Bitcoin bottom out. So the likelihood of Solana going higher is greater based on Bitcoin not going any lower. It's funny how that works, right? The whole market is pretty much that same scenario at any given time. So the truth is right now, the way that Solana is moving, it's doing better than the majority of other coins so far here today. But it's that natural knee-jerk reaction that we're seeing. But the truth is there's a lot of opposition. More people are shorting this coin than taking longs. And then what does that mean for us? It means we want to get on track, not necessarily to take a short with them, but to maybe be very careful and cautious when taking longs based on the simple fact that there's more people thinking it's going to go down than up, right? So what do? Do you drive in oncoming traffic, or do you drive with the flow of traffic? I seem to like to think that the flow of traffic is better. That's just kind of how it works. So right now the flow of traffic is down. We want to presume it's going to continue lower. That's the general idea. So what we want to look at though, and again, this isn't going to be just giving you a hopium or anything like that. We're going to look at support levels and see if there's any potential for continuation higher based on previous areas of support and resistance. Okay, we can look at some fib levels too. Just know that fib levels are only beneficial in small ways, kind of understanding more that placebo effect of where the price may go. If you're solely basing your trading off of fib levels, you got a lot to learn. Let's take a look here though. Let's take a look 135 to 142. These are two open areas of interest. In other words, we have people finally taking long positions. If you look at the open interest for Bitcoin, it is pretty abysmal. There's very little buying pressure right now, implying more money's going into altcoins. And we can see that reflected here too with Bitcoin dominance dropping pretty hard here, dropping from that 62% to that low 61% range. This is just kind of this is not a cause here. This is more so like the effect of what's happening. But the easy way to understand it is that with Bitcoin dominance decreasing, altcoins are starting to get an inflow of volume. Okay, we can kind of see that there with the open interest in the back end. So let's look at the daily time frame and work our way down and kind of just recognize some important stuff. In fact, we could actually look at the weekly, see if there's any type of macro support and resistance levels. I do apologize, my chart does have a lot of previous support levels here, but I like to leave those just in case because it's helpful to understand kind of where we're at here now. In other words, if you recall before we broke out and haven't looked back, we had that $110 resistance. I think 110 will be like that 110 to 113 is a likely potential next step if we lose this 136 range. Granted, we do have some decent support here. If you look, there's a lot of confluence at about 130. So that's like a secondary support there in between, because we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 attempts to break below that level and no success. So if I were a betting man and the price were to pull back, 130 would seem like a logical pivot point. Okay? So just kind of throwing it out there. So that's kind of where we're at there, but the key takeaway on the weekly is that we're under all moving averages. We're under 50 on the RSI. We have a very bearish situation, and there's no reason to consider along more specifically with leverage against that, right? The opposition right now is winning, and those are basically the shorts. So, taking along as kind of like a screw the man kind of thing isn't necessarily going to be a good strategy. You're going to only hurt yourself because they are in control, right? The bears are in control. You don't fight against that. You don't try to take the power back. I mean, unless you have billions of dollars, but if you do, you're not watching my videos. So anyways, daily time frame, easy way to understand it is we're fully bearish. Literally every single time frame is going to be bearish, minus maybe the hourly, and we'll see if there's any kind of hidden bullish convergence. And I like to use the bunny ears when I say hidden, because I think that word doesn't belong in trading, because it's very clear, and oftentimes the directions are very easy to identify. There's nothing that here telling us that we're just going to see the price shoot to 300. There's zero there. There might be a fundamental catalyst if Binance stops selling all their Solana, but again, that's a different story altogether. Market manipulation is an all-time high right now. If you're gonna put money on anything, its manipulation is the highest, which I don't think you can do. But anyways, funny thought. Okay, so I'll take a look here. We are under 30 on the RSI, right? So generally speaking, if we're over 70 on the RSI, for example, it's an overextension. You let your trade continue to ride until that comes back down, or in this case, back up. So until we close back up over 30 on the RSI, we're going to presume the price is going to go lower. And if you have a short position open, you keep it open. That's the general consensus. That's how you're supposed to do it in a lot of different ways. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times you can see a pivot off of the RSI at 30. We surpassed that though. Yesterday we were testing it, now we lost it. We can presume the price can go lower because we lost that key level support. And once more, that level of support was at 168 range, right before the price dumped super hard. Okay, so again, the daily time frame is terrible. There's nothing here telling us that we are in good shape to see a reversal. What we want to look for though, this is kind of where the 4-hour time frame is beneficial. We want to look for a trend reversal, and obviously when that were to happen is when we're back up over the 20-day SMA. Okay, so again, I'll clean up the charts, post a new playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, so be sure to check that out. It'll be available here. It looks like this, and you'll be able to find that, honestly, now if you're watching the video, because I always post that before I upload the videos. But what I'm getting at here is we got a 20-day SMA working its way down. That's like the initial trend setter, which is why you see my previous playout here as a potential confluence and rejection off that 161. After having broken below that, once we looked at the coin here yesterday, better case scenario was come up here, 161 and back down. I was actually looking for a short in the 160s, the low 160s, and it never happened. I've lost count as how many times I've wanted to take a short this month, and the price just doesn't quite go back up to my level to retest those previous highs. So just know if we were to continue higher here, 161 will now be the new resistance. And between now and then, it's safe to presume that we're not going to see that for a short while. That's just my thoughts. Unless Bitcoin ramps up to 90,000 plus, we're not going to see the 160s for a little bit. Anyways, the whole point of me mentioning this is that's a descending trend. We have a previous resistance there. They're all kind of hanging out in that little area there, therefore reinforcing that resistance. There's a lot of confluence there. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. And of course, previously, in case you're not familiar and you do see my playout charts, whenever I post something like this here, that's what's supposed to happen in order for a continuation higher. That didn't happen, so obviously we can go ahead and get rid of that there. But the point of telling you all this is to ensure that you understand what to look for. Until the price action is back up above this descending trend line, there's no reason to consider long into it because it's just statistically a higher risk trade and it doesn't make a ton of sense. Now again, maybe a spot consideration, all good, but if you're trading with leverage, which most people do, that's just a bad idea, okay? Now again, I'm sure you're gonna watch this sometime tomorrow and be like, oh, I was right and he was wrong. I took a long at 143 and I took profit at 150. That's great, but the truth is at the end of the day, you did something wrong because you're not trading with confirmation. You're trading with extremely high risk and making sure that you're inherently going to be able to you're going to lose more frequently in those situations, okay? So anyways, that's all I'm trying to get across. I'm sorry, that's a long way to describe it. But again, I got a lot of people watching and a lot of community members in my group. And I can tell you that we all try to trade with confirmation. Lately, it's been much more difficult because confirming factors happen less often. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to this here. We're back up over 30 in the RSI on the 4-hour time frame. This is generally construed as a take profit target for your short position if you have one open. Okay, now again, the duration does change. So this is a 4-hour time frame. This is kind of a little quicker, right? So if you are going to be holding for briefer periods of time, this is a good confirming factor to get out of your trade, right? From the macro perspective, the daily time frame, it's still confirming further downside is likely. So in turn, you want to keep your trade open if you have a long-term goal or objective. All I ask is if you're in a profit on a short position, you lower your stop loss to ensure that you continue to walk away in the green if you were to. But at this point, this is telling us that we've crossed that threshold and you should legitimately close your short position in profit because there's no use trying to take this to the ground floor. I don't really see Solana hitting anything under $100 anytime soon. I'm just throwing that number out there, but just in general, that's kind of how I feel there personally. Once more, we can see stochastic swinging up, MACD trying to converge. There's some signs here letting us know we're seeing a shift in momentum, but that's about it. Me personally, I'm not going to want to consider taking a trade until the price action proves that it's going to be stabilized and effectively in the 150 plus range. I'd obviously prefer a 160 or higher closure. That's going to also require me to see Bitcoin over 90,000. I don't like taking trades into key level resistances until they are tested and broken. Okay, so that's that there. Hourly time frame is confirming as well that we are still in bear town, and we will be until we cross above this threshold here, which is a descending trend. Right. So that's kind of where we're at there. It's nothing super awesome or amazing. This is just standard trading stuff, folks. There's no reason to force a trade right now. Recommend just being as safe as possible and not being an emotional idiot. Okay. Again, I say that loosely, of course. If you are, I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to offend you. Just in general, we're always like that at some point in our lives. I've been there before too. But now, after seeing all this manipulation, there's just no reason to be a late long right now, or even a late short. Honestly, you're just better off waiting for better trading conditions, and that may not be for a little while. And I'm sorry that's the case. If I controlled the market, it'd be a different story. Wouldn't be having this conversation. Anyways, we all know that's how it works. The crypto market's extremely volatile, and this is just kind of how it is. If you don't like how you feel based on this, you either need to change your trading strategy and maybe consider becoming a better trader. CryptoCash.tech is a site, link down below if you want to do that for yourself. I've got a trading university, a lot of graduates that are doing quite well, but these situations happen. Okay, so it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you that makes all the difference, right? So either way, conversations for another day. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much to everyone yesterday, today, and years ago, those who've been watching me for a long time. Really appreciate it. We're coming up on our 4-year anniversary for the channel. I've been trading for 20 plus years. It's never a dull moment, especially in crypto. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. Look forward to seeing the next one. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.